All right, so let's start lying on our backs on your mat. So come down onto the floor, lay down flat on your back, and then we'll just start with our arms by our sides, palms facing the ceiling, and then walk your feet out about as wide as your mat. So we're going feet fairly wide here to begin with, and we'll just start with a little stretch. So rock your knees to the right, feel your left knee come towards your right foot, and feel your left hip lift. Come back through the middle, rock your knees to the left, feel the right knee come towards the left heel, and the right hip lift. Come back through the middle, and we'll go one more time to each side. Back through the middle, and then over. And back through the middle. So let's start by setting up our neutral spine position. I'll get you to rest the heels of your hands on your hip bones, all right, those pointy bones at the front of your pelvis, and then let your fingertips rest towards your pubic bone, and your thumbs will just meet in the center there below your belly button. I get you to rock your pelvis backwards, feel your lower back flatten into the mat, and as that happens, your fingertips will lift higher than your thumbs. And you'll feel your back flattening into the mat there. Let's tip the other way now. Feel your fingertips move lower than your thumbs and feel your lower back arch. I get you to exhale as you tuck under, feeling that flattening of your back. Feel a little squeeze of your buttock muscles as you do this. And then inhale as you tip the other way, feeling that space under your lower back. Let's go again, tucking under. And as well as feeling your buttock muscles squeeze, I'll get you to use your pelvic floor here to pull the pelvis under. And then let it all go as you arch back. Let's go one more time. Pelvic floor, buttock muscles, pulling the pubic bone towards the belly button. And then just find a neutral position. And when you're in neutral, your fingertips, your thumbs, and the heels of your hands are all going to be one flat level. So we've got a nice flatness through the pelvis there. Switch on through your pelvic floor here. And we're just going to start with some lower abdominal work. I'll get you to breathe out and bring your right leg to tabletop. So that's 90 degrees at your hip and your knee, and then breathe in to put it down. And then swap sides. Exhale, bring the left leg to tabletop, and then inhale, put it down. We're just going to do a few of these to get the hang of that neutral spine position. As you're lifting your leg, try and feel through your hands and feel through that triangle that you've made out of your fingertips and thumbs, that you're not moving your pelvis anywhere. So you're really stable through your hips here. You're switching on through your lower tummy. You're drawing upwards through your pelvic floor. And then you've got control of your breathing. So it's the breath out on the lift and the breath in on the lower. The other thing I want you to feel for this sequence is that your body weight is resting directly on the center of your tailbone. So through the back of the mat, you can feel that your weight isn't rocking from side to side. You've got a nice steady pelvis there. Let's go one more time on the right and then one more time on the left. And I'll get you to keep your left leg lifted. Hold here, raise the right leg up as well, and then pop the left foot down, and then pop the right foot down. So let's lift left and right, and then left goes down, right goes down. So now that we're coming into double tabletop, I want you to work a little harder through your abdominals to make sure that your lower back isn't arching. So exhale as you lift up, inhale, hold, and then exhale as you lower down. As those legs lift up, try and feel that gentle pull of your pubic bone towards your belly button so that you're not letting your pelvis tilt into any of that arching position. So your lower back's not flat on the mat, but it's not arching either. There's just enough room for a little blueberry to be placed under your lower back without letting it roll away, but without squashing it. Let's lift up one more time and hold in tabletop. From here, switch on through those abdominals. We'll now go to toe taps. So exhale, tap the floor with your toes, and then inhale, lift up. We'll alternate. I want you to imagine there's a little puddle on the floor, and you're just really lightly dipping your toes into that puddle. We breathe out on the dip, and we breathe in on the lift. If at any point you feel like you don't have control of the movement, go back to the level before. I'll always layer things on for you so that you can regress if needed. Let's continue. Exhale, tap, inhale, lift. Exhale, tap, inhale, lift. As well as feeling that pull of your pubic bone towards your belly button, I'd like you to start to think about connecting your ribs to your hips. So you can imagine there's a couple of springs pulling from the bottom of your rib cage to the top of your hip bones, and it's just tension in the front of your stomach wall. Let's hold in tabletop and place the hands behind the head now. So sliding the rib cage down into your belly, I want you to breathe out and lift your head, neck, and shoulder blades. So we're in a chest lift now. We're just going to hold that chest lift as we continue our single alternating toe taps. Try and have your knee at 90 degrees so that as the leg is tapping, the movement is actually coming from your hip, so not from the knee. The whole leg moves as one, and that angle at the knee stays the same. If you're feeling comfortable here, we've got an option to progress to double toe taps. So you'll tap both toes down and then lift both back up. Let's go for 8, 7. If you're still on singles, that's okay. Keep alternating. 5, 4, really light with the taps. 3, and you can look at your tummy and check that it's not popping upwards. It should be staying nice and flat. One more time, tap and hold here. Well done. All right, reach your arms long either side of your legs, curl a little higher. Squeeze those ribs towards the hips. Now we're raising our arms overhead and stretching one leg out away from us. And then the arms come back either side of you. Stretch out, swap to the other leg and back. So your gaze is just above your knees here. You're looking over the top of the knees to keep the neck neutral. I want you to feel as though the effort here is in your tummy, not your neck. If you're straining through your neck, you can always place one hand behind your head and then swap it as you straighten the opposite arm out. Otherwise, let's keep holding and lifting. And every time you pull the knee in, think of squeezing a little harder through your tummy. Let's go for 3 more here. And then we've got one last option to progress to double leg extensions. 1 more here. Lift a little higher. Let's pause a moment. And now let's go both legs and both arms, and then squeeze a little higher at the top. Stretch both out and then lift back up. 6 to go. Straightening both legs, lowering both arms, and then lifting up. Exhale as you lengthen. Inhale as you pull back in. Last 4, you can go hand behind your head here. 3. So we should be getting upper and lower abdominals working here. 2. One more time. Stretch out, curl up, hug your knees to your chest. Rest your head down. Well done. Rock the knees gently from side to side. We've got one more abdominal exercise to go in this sequence. So let's bring the legs back to tabletop position. Stretch your left leg out away from you and reach your right foot up towards the ceiling. Feel a little stretch down the back of that hamstring. That should feel nice. We're going to curl forwards, reaching our hands towards the calf on the right leg. So we're in our chest lift, and now we pull that right knee towards our forehead, 2 little pulses, and then swap your legs. 2 little pulses and swap. So pulse, pulse, swap, pulse, pulse, swap. So we should get a nice stretch down the back of the leg as you pull towards you, but then we're also using our stomach muscles here to create that lift. Let's go for 6. Swap. 5. Swap. 4. 3. Keep the legs as straight as you can. 2. 1 more. And rest. Well done. Knees to chest, drop side to side. Good work. Well done. So from here, let's place our feet on the floor. Feet are flat, and through your fingertips with your hands by your sides, I'd like you to just be able to touch your heels. So the knees are fairly bent here. If that's uncomfortable on your knees, they can be further away. But in order to get our glutes working a little harder, if you can have your heels closer to your buttock, that's the best option. And then we'll have our feet just a little wider than our hips as well. So we just walk them out to the sides. Keep your hands by your sides, but let's turn them to face upwards. And now we'll rock the pelvis backwards, feeling your lower back flatten, squeezing through the buttock muscles, pulling through the stomach muscles, and then roll the hips up towards the ceiling. When you get to the top, I want you to have a look down at your rib cage and check it's not flared upwards. So try and connect between the ribs and hips here, imagining those springs again, and then let's roll back down, bone by bone. See if you can really emphasize that pelvic tuck so that as your spine lays back down, you aren't coming down flat in one block. So let's go again, rolling upwards, peeling your spine, bone by bone, roll up. Inhale when you get to the top, exhale, roll back down. We'll do 3 more like this, working full range. Really press through your heels and really engage through those buttock muscles. Get that nice squeeze and press. And as you come towards the top, try and equal the push with a little pull through your stomach muscles. And roll down. 2 more times, rolling up. Just getting our spines moving. Inhale at the top, roll down, and 1 more time. Let's roll up all together. So pull pubic bone to belly button, squeeze the buttock muscles, hold it at the top and raise your hands to the ceiling. With your fingertips pointing at the ceiling, try and keep your collarbones broad and your shoulder blades resting on the floor. Let's lower our hips halfway down and then squeeze them all the way back up. Inhale on the way down and then exhale on the way up. So as your hips lower, it'll feel like your tailbone is untacking a little bit. And then as your hips lift back up, I want you to emphasize that you're tucking that pelvis under. Let's go for another 6 here. Pushing through the heels. And because our knees are a little wider than our hips, we should be getting a nice squeeze through those glute muscles as well. Lift. Let's go for 3. And tuck. 2. Tuck. 1 more time. Curl the pelvis in. Lift up and hold here. From here, keep your hips high, breathe out, raise your heels off the mat, breathe in, lower them down. So we're going to lift up onto the toes and then lower back down. Try and keep this movement smooth on the way up and on the way down. And see if you can keep your hips raised. So as the heels lift up and down, we're not dropping the hips up and down as well. No more hip dips. Let's go for another 5. 4, and then we're going to keep our heels raised. 3, 2, 1 more time. Lift the heels and hold here. Tuck the pelvis in, breathe out, lower your hands overhead. Breathe in, bring them back to the ceiling. So as the arms move overhead, I want you to try and maintain that width across your collarbones and feel really relaxed through your neck. So try not to let those shoulders shrug. Try not to have any strain in your neck here. Just let the arms kind of float back overhead and then back to the ceiling. Let's do another 5 of these. Maybe lift your hips a little higher. They might have dropped. 4. Try and keep up with the breathing as well. Exhale overhead. 3. Inhale back to the ceiling. 2. 1 more time. Let's lower the hands overhead. Rest the backs of your hands on the floor so your palms face the ceiling. Lift your hips a little higher. And now we're going to stay on our toes as we roll the spine all the way back down. 1 bone at a time. And then come to rest on the mat. Well done. Keep your feet where they are. Open your arms out to the sides and let's rock those knees over and over. Well done. We're going to increase this stretch just a little bit. So our elbows are wide, palms are facing the ceiling. Bring your knees towards your chest now and rock over. Feel your knees come to the floor if you can, without lifting your elbow off the ground. Use your stomach muscles, come back through the center, over to the other side, and don't let that opposite elbow lift. 1 more to each side. This should feel really nice across your chest, and you can try perhaps raising your arms a little higher. That'll get a slightly deeper stretch through your pecs as well. Okay, coming to the middle, roll onto your right side. So we're going to be lying on the right side, working the left glute here. With your left hand on your hip, push your hip away from your ribs, create a really long waist. You should see a gap or feel a gap underneath your right waist. And then have a look at your hip bones and check that that top hip isn't rolling backwards. That's really important so that we engage through the glutes rather than the hip flexors. So keep your left hip just even slightly tipped forwards rather than backwards. From here, we're going to straighten that left leg out. Toes are just resting on the floor and your left foot is in line with your right foot. So that left leg is nicely in line with the hip. From here, raise your left leg up off the floor and don't let that left waist shrink. So you're staying long through the waist, and let's tap the floor and lift. Let's go back to that little puddle analogy. So imagine there's a puddle on the floor that you're just very lightly dipping your toes in and out of. If you keep that waist long, you should feel quite a squeeze as you lift your leg up. So if we isolate this movement purely to the hip, rather than letting our lower back get involved, we get a nice burn through that left glute. If you can also just reconnect through the stomach wall, so picture those ribs and hips coming towards each other, that'll help you to avoid using your lower back. So tummy muscles are on, pelvis is square, all we're using is our hip abductors here. Let's just change this movement slightly. Lift up. I want you to draw a little bit of a rainbow or an arc. So tap the floor in front of you now, lift up and over, and then tap the floor behind you. Up and over in front, and then up and over behind. So now we're moving forwards and backwards. Try and work a little harder to keep your hips square. So if you imagine you've got little headlights attached to your hip bones, they're shining directly forwards. There is no movement around that pelvis. Let's go up and over behind, up and over in front 4 more times. We're going to use this same sequence for our next exercise as well. So I'll cue you through it, but the next routine will be a little familiar to this. One more time, back behind, and then lift your leg back up in line with your hip. Reach a little longer if you can. Little circles, about the size of an apple or an orange, for 4, 3, 2, 1, and back the other way. And just think about that bottom leg staying really relaxed. 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Bend that knee. Bring that left knee onto the floor in front of you. And then grab onto it with your right hand and open your left arm back behind you. Your elbow can be bent, your left elbow, and aim that elbow down towards the ground. Or you can straighten it out if you've got the space and keep your palm facing the ceiling. And we'll just feel a bit of a stretch through that hip, but also a twist through the spine. Good. Come out of that stretch. So we're going to do our right leg later. We're coming onto our hands and knees next, and we will keep working on our left glute. So hands are on the floor, palms are really flat. Think again of engaging between the ribs and the hips. So in our 4-point kneeling position, if you press through your left hand and your right knee into the ground quite firmly, you should feel that your left knee becomes a little bit lighter. And if we do the opposite, if you press through your left palm and your left knee and your right palm, you should feel that your right knee becomes a little lighter. So let's just set up in neutral, press the ground away, try not to let your chest sag, push the ground away, lift your chest away from the floor, look straight down between your hands, press the left hand and the right knee into the ground, and then slide your left leg out behind you. Straighten the knee, squeeze the knee really straight, switch on through your left buttock, and then let's lift that left leg up to about hip level, and then tap the ground again. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. So same sequence as before. We're going to do straight up and downs. We're going to do those rainbow arcs, and then we're going to do some little circles. What I would really like you to focus on with this exercise is very strong shoulders. So you're really pushing the ground away through your arms. I want you to think about your body staying really still here as well. So if you want to, you could take your right hand onto your lower back and just feel that that area isn't moving at all. So as your leg lifts up and down, your pelvis is staying really flat. Let's lift and hold and move on to our arcs. So tap to the left, lift up and around, and tap to the right. Up and around, over to the left, up and around, over to the right. And you'll end up tapping the floor, probably just either side of your mat, depending on how wide your mat is. Up and over to the left, up and over to the right. Should be feeling that left butt work pretty hard here. So we've just changed the focus a little bit now to our hip extensors. Before we were really focusing on our hip abductors. And let's go for 3. Tap. 2, strong arms. Tap. 1 more. Bring your leg up to hip level, hold it there, reset everything, and let's draw our little circles. Toes are pointed. for 6, 5, 4, really straight knee, 2, 1, back the other way, 8, 7, 6, tummy on, chest on, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Pop that knee down. Have a little stretch out here. Let's tuck the pelvis under, round your spine, look between your legs, and then tip your belly towards the floor, look forward, stay strong through the shoulders, so don't let your chest sag here. Tuck under again, round the spine, press the ground away, and then tip through the pelvis and look forward. Come back to neutral. Curl your toes under now. Toes are curled, and so that your feet are flat towards the floor. Press through the palms. We're going to hover our knees. So breathe out, hover the knees, switch on through the tummy. Inhale, hold, exhale, lower. So with our knee hovers, let's keep going on that pattern. Breathe out to lift, breathe in to hold, breathe out to lower. We want to feel just a really gentle switching on of the tummy. So as you lift up, in order to keep your spine neutral, your stomach muscles are switching on. This is preparing us for the planks we're going to do soon. Hold and lower. Let's do 3 more of these. Exhale, lift. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower. 2 more. Exhale, lift. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower. 1 more time. Hover the knees and hold. Try and follow me here. We're going to keep the knees bent. We're going to push our hips towards the ceiling and push our chest towards our thighs. From here, we're going to push our left heel towards the floor. Feel a stretch through that left, the back of the left leg. Bend that knee and push the right heel flat against the floor. Feel a stretch through the back of the right leg. Let's just alternate here a few times, enjoying a really nice stretch. Keep thinking about pushing your chest back towards your thighs so that you're really opening through your shoulders. 1 more time. Now bending into both knees, press forwards, find your full plank. Once you're in your plank, you might need to wiggle your feet or your hands forward or back and just hold here for a moment, belly to spine. Keep holding. And then we're going to step our left foot forward, still working the left leg, and plant it between the hands. Lower your right knee down and straighten up through your body. So let's reach both hands to the ceiling. This is just a nice stretch. Tip over to the left. Feel the front of the right hip stretching. Really reach your fingers long towards the ceiling. Come back through the middle. Turn your body to the left. Open the elbows wide. Get that twist through your spine. Back to the ceiling, back to the front, over to the left. And think about really tucking the pelvis under here. So really engage through the stomach muscles, feeling that stretch through the front of the right hip. And turn to the left, open the arms wide, get that twist, really push your left arm back behind you as much as you can. Hands back to the ceiling. We're moving into some lunges. Let's curl the right toes under. See if you can press up through your left heel and hover your right knee off the ground, and then straighten all the way up. Let's keep our hands raised. We'll lunge down, bring the right knee towards the floor, and then stand all the way up. Lunge down and stand up. I want you pressing through your left heel. Think of engaging ribs to hips. So we're not arching unnecessarily through the back. We're still in neutral spine position. Through your left knee, have a look at it. Check that it's pointing over the middle of your foot. So it should actually line up with your second and third toes, not your big toe. Let's go for another 3. And that right quad should be working. 2. 1 more. Sink low, not quite to the floor, and pulse here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Stay low. Bring your hands behind you. Tip your body over your left leg, straighten into your right leg, holding here. So now we're in a nice tipped forward position. Your body is on the same angle as your right leg, and you're pulsing through your left knee. We're here for 8, 7, 6. Drive through that left heel. Use those glutes that we've been working on. 4, tummy is on. 3, 2, 1. Well done. Hands to the floor. Keep the right knee lifted. Plant your right hand and lift your left hand to the ceiling. Turn your body. Feel that stretching through that left hip area. Well done. Catch your breath. Let's turn the chest towards the ceiling. And then bring your left hand back to the floor. Step your left foot back and press back, straight knees this time into our downward dog, and pedal out your legs again. Pedal, pedal, pedal. Feel that nice stretch. Push your chest back towards your thighs. Come forwards into your plank and lower your knees. Well done. Sit back onto your heels, roll your shoulders. So we're going to do all of that again on the other side now. Let's lie down on the left side. Head can rest onto your arm. Use your right hand to push your right hip away from your ribs, create that gap underneath your left waist. Try and check that the hips are pointing straight forward. Remember our headlights, pointing straight forward. And then let's stretch that right leg away from us. Toes are touching the floor gently, and then we'll lift that leg slowly up and down. Nice and controlled, keeping that space between the right ribs and hips, so that when that right leg lifts, there's no shrinking of the waist. Get the sense that you're squeezing through your right buttock here. So where your hand is, you should be able to feel that you're not pulling too much through the front of your hip. And if you feel the effort anywhere other than that right glute, you might just need to recheck your position. Check that the hips are square and check that you've got that nice big gap under your waist. The other thing a lot of people get is like effort in the bottom leg with these side lying exercises. So if you can actively relax that left leg, just let it rest there on the floor and try and isolate the effort to your lifting leg. Let's start our arcs. Tap the floor in front, come over, tap the floor behind, up and over in front, and then up and over behind. Remember, we're engaging through the abdominals here, so a little bit of pelvic floor will help keep you stable as we start to move horizontally through that plane. Challenges our stability a little bit more. Let's go for another 4, 3, 2 more here before we move on to our circles, 2, and 1 more. Let's lift that leg up in line with the hip, stretch it out a little longer. Make sure you haven't started to roll back at all through that right hip. And we'll circle for 4, 3, 2, 1. Back the other way. 8, 7. Stretching away from you. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Bend that knee. Grab onto it with your left hand. Open your right elbow towards the floor behind you. And just feel that nice stretch. Pull that right knee towards the floor with your left hand so that your pelvis doesn't twist with you, and then you'll get a nice isolated stretch to the thoracic spine. Good. Come on out of that stretch onto your hands and knees. So we've got our palms directly under our shoulders, knees directly under hips. We're in a neutral position, so your lower back is completely flat. This time we're going to press our right palm and our left knee really firmly into the ground and feel that the right leg becomes a little lighter. From there, slide your right leg back behind you, straighten the knee, squeeze through your thigh and your glute, and then lift your right leg to hip level, tap the floor and lift. Tap, lift. Think about that little puddle. And don't worry too much about how high you go. It's more about how precise the movement is. So again, take that left hand, place it on your lower back, and just feel that as your leg lifts, your lower back doesn't arch and that there's no tipping of your hips. It can be really tempting to try and shift your weight over the knee that's on the floor to get some more stability, but we want to try and use the oblique abdominals instead. Let's move on to our rainbow arcs. Tap to the side, other side, up and around, and back over. And again, just working on that side to side stability now, as well as your up and down stability. Keep pushing that right hand really firmly into the ground. Let's go for 5, 4, 3. Push up through those palms, 2, and 1 more. Bring your leg up in line with your hip. Squeeze your buttock a little more firmly, and let's draw our little circles the size of an apple or an orange. They're not big. 3, 2, 1. Back the other way. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Knee down. Let's round through the spine. Press the ground away. Dip the body down, look forwards. Just enjoy a nice stretch after that. Tuck under and around the spine. And then dip down and look forwards. And then let's find neutral, pressing the ground away, curl the toes. When you're ready, push through the palms, push through the toes, hover the knees, and hold and lower down. I'm going to progress it a little bit this time. Instead of resting between each one, we're just going to tap the ground. So let's hover the knees, hold, and then tap, lift, tap, lift. Let's go for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more. Hover the knees, hold, press the chest back towards the thighs, lift the hips towards the ceiling. Knees are still bent, chest is pushing back towards the knees, and let's alternate pressing one heel towards the floor. This should feel a little easier than it did the first time around. Hopefully you've got a little bit more stretch in the backs of those legs, and we'll push the heels down towards the ground. One more time for each. Then come onto both of your toes, both knees are bent, press forwards, find your plank. Push the ground away, use your stomach muscles here, squeeze your legs to straighten them. Let's hold just for a little moment before we step our right foot forward. Bring the right foot forward between the hands, lower the left knee down. Come up tall, reach your hands to the ceiling. Fingertips reaching as high as you can, tucking pubic bone to belly button, opening the front of the left hip this time. Let's reach the hands over to the right. Come back through the center, turn your body to the right, open your arms wide. Push that right hand back behind you. Back to the ceiling to the middle, over to the right. Back to the ceiling and twist. And then back to the ceiling. Let's curl the left toes under. Press through the right heel and the left toes. Hover your left knee off the ground. Holding here. Let's straighten up and down. Tap the ground if you can. You don't need to go that deep if you don't feel comfortable. See if we can get 90 degrees at both of our knees. Tap and lift. Good. Try and push the ground away with your right heel so that you're getting that sense of engaging through that right leg here. But you will, definitely feel that left thigh working as well. Let's tap and lift. Try and help yourself by switching on through your core so that you've got a nice stable base here as well. Let's go 4, 3, 2, 1 more. Tap the ground, hover. Hold for 5 pulses before we shoot forwards. 2, 1, hold low. Sweep the arms back behind you, straighten into that back leg. Tip your body over your right thigh. Squeeze the shoulder blades back together. Let's press through the right heel here and pulse. 6, 5, 4, 3, really drive through that right heel. 2, 1, hold there, hands to the floor. Keep the left hand planted, reach the right hand to the ceiling, and feel a nice stretch through that right hip. Catch your breath for a moment. Hold here, and then place that right hand to the floor. Step that right leg back. Keep your legs straight. Press back to your downward dog. And then with straighter legs this time we can pedal, or you can just push your chest towards your thighs and hold. Whatever feels good to you. Come back to your plank. Hold here just for a moment before we lower the knees down and come into child's pose. Reach your hands long in front of you. Rest your forehead on the ground. You can also just let your arms rest by your side. I quite like that version of child's pose as well. And then when you're ready, come up from there, sitting on your heels. And we're going to finish with one more abdominal sequence. So take a seat on your bottom with your feet out in front of you. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the ground. And take your hands behind your thighs. At the moment, sitting tall, I'd like you to feel that your weight is resting directly on the tips of your sit bones. From there, if we tuck the pelvis under and pull the pubic bone to the belly button, kind of like with our bridges, we want to feel the weight move to the back of the sit bones and then all the way to the tailbone. Let's hold there and then roll forward again. This is a very small movement. We roll back to the back of the sit bones. We pull the ribs towards the hips. We pull the pubic bone towards the belly button. So the stomach muscles are active here. Hold and then roll forward again. So we've got some progressions here. Let's roll back into that same position, tucking the belly in and hold. Imagine like you're really hollowing your stomach out. Like what we started with, let's do some single tabletops. Let's lift one and then the other. Keep alternating. You can keep your hands where they are, or you can reach your hands forward. Up to you, whatever feels comfortable. Let's keep going with these single tabletops, or if you'd like to progress to your up, up, down, down, that's your next progression. Up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. And you'll find a point of balance once your legs are both lifted that you can maintain that V shape or that boat posing. If you're feeling comfortable with your up, up, down, downs, you can go to your toe taps. So your tap, lift, tap, lift. Let's stay tall through the chest, broad through the collarbones. If you want to progress even further, arms above your head. Either way, whatever you're doing, let's go for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, one more. Hold here, wherever you are, hands back behind your legs, and we're all going to roll down together, nice and slow to finish the class. So tuck your bottom under, roll down, straighten your legs out, and then come to rest. Arms go overhead. Reach them away from you. Reach your toes away from you as best you can. Enjoy that nice little stretch. And then roll onto your belly. Hands underneath your shoulders, palms are flat against the ground, elbows are tight by your sides. Let's press up through the heels of the hands, lift the chest forwards, and let's enjoy some extension. If you're working at a desk today, this is a really good stretch to try and interrupt that flexion that your spine will be sitting in. So if we can really push up through the chest, draw the shoulder blades back and look straight ahead and just feel that you're really arching through your spine. If you can think about your chest lifting as well, so that you're not hinging through your lower back only. If you had a really big blingy necklace on, it's like you're trying to shine that necklace forwards towards the wall or the window or whatever's in front of you. Let's lower back down, and one more time. Press through the heels of your hands, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift forward. Think about that big necklace shining forward and then lift up. And you might feel that you got that stretch a little bit more around bra level. It is hard to get that though. And then when you're ready, lower all the way down. And you are finished for the morning, ladies. Thank you very much. I'll just stop that there, and then you can unmute yourselves